Kyler Phillips from the MMA lab versus Cameron Else, who it appears is now training at Jackson Wink. Two guys with really good records. Kyler Phillips is 7-1, and 10-4 for Cameron Else. I did not know much about Cameron, but shout out to this one Twitter follow who I've just discovered. They for the fighters who have upcoming fights, they'll just do like a series of GIFs of like important moments in these guys' fights, and there's just it's at NHB_GIFs, GIFS. Just a whole litany of some of Cameron Else's finishes, which are highlight reel for sure. You're pretty familiar with Cameron. You used to train with him, you said?
Yeah, so Cam mixes up his training between Jackson Wink, and he trains in the UK as well. And despite both being from the UK, I actually trained with Cam out at Jackson Wink. I did a 5-week sort of camp. Not camp, I didn't have a fight coming up. My teammate was out there for a training camp, so I went out with him for 5 weeks. And I did a bit of training with Cam, and we sort of keep in touch from time to time. And yeah, like you said, he's one of those guys, Cam. He's either in there to finish the fight or be finished. You know, he's not a guy who's looking to grind out a decision win. Very explosive. I think he's finished all of his wins, I believe. And you know, I think even his losses has been finishes as well. So it just shows that the type of fighter he is. You know, he comes to get the job done, and you know, if he got to go out on his shield, he go out on his shield.
One decision on his record, and that was a loss to Spencer Hewitt, who it seems like anybody who's fought in Europe has fought. I discover his I discover his name all the time.
He's been about Spencer Hewitt. He's been about for a long time. He's fought literally everyone, and even some of the guys, he's fought everyone, and some of them he's fought them twice as well. So,
including Cameron, he has fought Cameron twice, which is I've never seen one of his fights, but he's a gamer. He is a European gatekeeper for sure. But yeah, so the one thing about some of Cameron's finishes, if you look at the guy's records that he's facing, he's got some 0-2s, 1-1, like not a lot of guys. One of those gifts I mentioned, shout out to Dan for Best Fight Picks. He quote tweeted it, and he was like, well, the guy who's fighting was wearing a rash guard in an MMA fight, so you know the deal with that. It's like it's not exactly seasoned MMA fighters he's knocking out. That being said, Kyler Phillips is coming in as a giant -500 favorite. I think the biggest on this card tomorrow, and making Cameron Else the +350 dog on the comeback, and +985 to get the knockout, which is, I mean, Kyler Phillips, he seems like he's just full-time trains with a good crew, he stand-up grappling, but his opponents aren't the top tier. I feel like there's enough unknown about him that a 10-1 off someone who's had this many knockouts, I'm really, really liking. And I just saw this before we actually hopped on, that I didn't think the odds for knockout were going to be that different from that +350 dog money. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you look at Cam's record. There's a lot of knockout wins, and I've seen him even in some of the fights he's lost. He's still put the guy in trouble. You know, despite picking up the loss, he's put the guy in trouble with the power in his hands. And if I'm honest, I mean, I haven't spoke to Cam too much about the fight. I've sort of let him. You know, it's been a bit of a rush. He took it on short notice, so I've let him sort of, stayed out of his ear. I imagine he's got thousands of people messaging him, wishing him well. But if I know Cam, he's probably going to come out. I mean, he hasn't had a full fight camp as such. He's probably going to come out, and sort of throw everything at Kyler early on. So the odds on a knockout, early on in the fight, especially, is worth a punt for sure. I mean, but I watched a little bit of Kyler earlier. I hadn't seen him previously before, but he, like you said, he seems, he's very powerful himself, very athletic, and quite unorthodox as well. I watched a couple of his last fight. He was throwing spin attacks. He was. You could see he's not the most schooled wrestler, grappler, but he's throwing some mad stuff out there that's helping him sort of come out in the scrambles and end up in positions that's going to help him win the fight. But that he shouldn't really end up in it for the stuff he's doing. So he's one of those guys, I think, Kyle. He's going to cause a tough fight for anyone he fights just because of his style. So fingers crossed. I mean, it's got all the makings of an exciting round one. Whether it goes past that or whether it ends in the first. But both guys, from what obviously Cam I know a little bit better, but even watching a couple of Kyler's fights on Fight Pass, he seems to, he starts very fast and he's there to, he's not there to get involved in the feeling out process. He's there. I mean, the Contender Series, I think he won in a minute or two or something like that when he's got
46 seconds.
Yeah, so he's a fast starter as well. So don't be surprised to see him sort of clash early on. It's just a matter, I think, of who can sort of land that first big blow, because they're both explosive guys.
I really like this intel about like how you expect Cameron to come out. So I said the knockouts plus 1,000. First round knockout for Cameron is plus 1,600. Under 1.5 is even money. I think any mix of those is a good mix of bets to come out on top. The way you're describing these two, just when someone. He already is someone who we've seen, like, in his highlights, he comes out fast, but then with the short gas tank too, it's just all of it right away.
That's it. Like you said, he's a fast starter anyway. Then you factor in he took it on maybe 2 weeks' notice, I think, maybe even less. I know he was staying, relatively in shape and, keeping his weight down and stuff, but
he's fought at flyweight, so it won't be a super, super hard cut, or should be.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't care what anyone says, you don't prepare out of camp like you do when you're in camp and you've got a fight signed. The intensity and the mindset is that a little bit more, intense, to be honest. When you've got a fight coming up, it's, you can't constantly train at that sort of intensity year round because your body just wouldn't handle the stress. So, like you said, the fact that it's a shorter camp, it's a short notice, I think he's probably going to come out and he's going to gunsling early on and look for that early finish.
Gotcha. So if you're talking straight up, I'm staying away plus 350, minus 500 on either side, but early finish for either side, that first round knockout or under 1.5 all look really good. This was I didn't think I was going to have a bet on this fight. I didn't know much about either one. It seemed like there wasn't enough. The fights ended too fast on Cameron's side, it seemed like, to bet on, but I'm really liking this now. One thing I did see on Cameron Ellis's record, I keep saying knockout, but he's obviously has some grappling acumen. He choked out a very, very young, but Paddy Pimblett.
Paddy the Body, yeah.
Yeah, who's a big name over in Europe. Like I said, Paddy was only 18 at the time, but Cameron was only 21. So his grappling's pretty strong then as well.
I've actually, obviously trained with Cam in Jackson, and he's a very good grappler as well, very sneaky with his submissions. Not sort of a wrestle-heavy guy, in the sense of he's not going to look for, the top position and the big shots. I think he's obviously, he likes to strike and he likes to look for that knockout, but he's got very good, sneaky submissions, sneaky transitions. And again, if he can lock one of them in early, when they're dry and there's no sort of, sweat. I mean, like you watch the Paddy submission, he caught him really early on, before they got into their groove, before they started sweating, and he didn't hesitate to lock it in. I think he put him to sleep. Was there a dash choke or an anaconda choke, something like that he caught Paddy with? So he's got them up his sleeve as well. So, anything early on, Cam is a very dangerous guy, especially in the first round. It's just like you said, with a shorter camp, it makes me sort of, more inclined to say he's going to come out hard and fast. I don't think he's going to look to try and outpoint the guy, and try and take the decision win.
He's listed as Anaconda, but I honestly think I saw someone tweet Tapology and be like, that was actually a Darce, not an Anaconda.
Yeah, I'm sure it was
That's funny. Well, Jack, thank you. It was great hearing about your career. You gave us some great insight on the fight we're here to talk about. Do you have anything else you want to plug, get out there?
No, just obviously, if anyone is interested in following my career, jump on me, Jack Show MMA online. Like we said, I'm fighting now in 5 weeks out in Vegas on the November 7th card. So tune in and I'll do my best to put on a show for you all.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks for your time, brother. We will talk soon.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Thanks for having me on. Anytime.